So let's just look over here at Rabbi Mimran. We were learning yesterday about a technique that one can use to bring enlightenment to himself. It was a technique that I'd like to try. And maybe I have tried to do something similar, but on my own, here we see Rabbi Mimran actually telling us a technique that's been used for thousands of years by Kabbalists. It's very hidden. One thing we have to understand is that Rabbi Mimran told me, and a lot of people have different ideas about everything, uh, that now is the time to reveal these things. They're hidden for thousands of years. So only small groups of people knowing them or practicing them. Of course, we're still here. Now, this is the name of God, Yud K Vav K. He writes it in English as Yud K Vav K, like that, and I pronounce it K, and we're about to see why. Because this is a special name. And what we said the last time and last year is that we can concentrate on this letter, these four letters. Imagine them. There are right now, they're black letters on a white page. So imagine that the white page represents a giant mountain. And these are huge, bold letters that are engraved or in some way imprinted. I'm not sure exactly, but they appear up against that white mountain. These are black letters. So last time he said we're going to meditate on this concept. Just move the Yud together with the K, and notice how I pronounce it, and then the K back with the Yud, then the K with the Vav, and the Vav with the K, and then the Vav with the last K, and then the last K with the Vav. This is a meditation that binds the worlds together. Now let me pull back up here and let's read a little bit of what Rabbi Mimran wants to say. So it says like this, there's a forewarning. The usage of holy names is a very serious matter. So it is possible, and you've probably heard, people do have different versions of how to pronounce this name. It's not healthy, even though they think it's great inside. So we don't pronounce these names. Never are the holy names to be recited out loud, even while reciting prayers. The letters and the vowels of the names are to be visualized in your mind. Their sound is to be repeated silently, never to be audible. Never to be audible, not whispered, not uttered in any way out of your mouth. There's another type of contemplation that is fairly straightforward and simple. So we learned one, let's hear another one. This consists in contemplating and thinking God's most sacred name, which is the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, which we just saw it over here. It's on this page. Can you see it a little bit? Here it is, right here. This contemplation has a number of important advantages, the most obvious being that since it is God's most sacred name, it provides one with a direct link to the divine. This is what we're looking for. We were looking for the Vegas. We're looking to be able to get out of this world in which we live and to be able to elevate ourselves into the world of truth. One must realize that it's forbidden to pronounce this name in any form whatsoever. He's repeating it again. This is because it's the holiest of God's names and it is linked to every spiritual level. But for this very reason, this name can be used as a ladder through which a person can link himself to the highest spiritual level. Once again, it's because it's the holiest of God's name. It's linked to every spiritual level. Now, what does he mean by every spiritual level? Let's talk like this. I know where my spiritual level is. It's right underneath my feet. It's the ground. That's where most of us are like. We concern ourselves with our bodies. That is a spiritual level. But there is a spiritual level that can be attained in simple prayer. And then levels beyond that, and levels beyond that. Here's someone coming along, and he wants to show us how, let's say, so to speak, to climb the ladder. But for this very reason, this name can be used as a ladder through which a person can link himself to the highest spiritual level. To use this method of contemplation, this name of God can be written on a card or sheet and placed where it can be seen easily. Now he's giving us something that we can do. Then it can be used as an object of contemplation in the usual manner. One may wish to enhance this contemplation with mantra meditation. So let's say, for example, you had this, and he's about to say here again the mantra Ribono Shel Olam, and really means the master of the hidden. Now, we translate it as the master of the universe, but the fact is that the word olam in Hebrew means hidden. So it means to say that there are universes which are hidden within inside of universes. That's possible. But understand that the basic word means hidden. So let's go back and say one may wish to enhance this contemplation. So you have the name in front of you. You're looking at it with mantra meditation. So you use the phrase, the mantra, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, can be very useful. One is then related to God directly both through the mantra and through the visual contemplation. For this type of contemplation to lie most meaningful, one must have some idea of the meaning of the four letters of God's names, as I have said. This is called in Greek the tetragrammaton. So in English, you'll often hear this phrase used. So it's spelled, this is the Yud K Vav K, Yud K Vav K. It therefore consists of the four Hebrew letters, which are Yud, He, Vav, and He. These four letters have a very special significance. As one gazes at the four letters of the tetragrammaton, one can actually see this. One begins by contemplating the Yud, which is the smallest letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So now, instead of looking at it combinations, he says, let's look at the letter Yud. It's very small, almost like a dot. And the Kabbalists usually consider it to be a dot. One contemplates the Yud and sees it as the initial point of creation. This is where creation starts, in this little tiny dot. But I think what we need to understand is that the world that we live in, we always think that bigger is better. Remember Shaq O'Neal? I mean, when he came along, everybody's bigger and better. But the truth is that small, tiny, insignificant nowhere is much more powerful. So he says it's the initial point of creation, the 10 sayings that brought creation into existence out of nothingness. All of this came through a dot. One then contemplates the first He. So then we looked at the Yud. Now, what is the He? So that's this letter up here, the second letter. So he says, this is the level of the divine in which a vessel comes into existence to hold the abstract power of creation. Now, this is the concept of a vessel, because originally what you have is tremendous potential, like the potential of an atom, in breaking open the atom, the tremendous potential, which we use for destruction. But it can be used for a lot of other things, as we know, because of the energy that's in a very small place, can be and condensed in that way, can be very powerful. That's the Yud, but it has to have someplace to go. By itself, it is nothing. So then it manifests itself in a vessel, which is the concept of the letter K. One sees God holding the power of creation so as to give it to us. And now we see that, so to speak, this is giving us an idea of the vessel that holds the power of creation. And the idea is to give it to us. Now, take the letter He. You have to look at it again. We'll look at it real quickly. The top of the He is the channel from God. So let's see. Let me look at it again. I'm not sure what he means by the top, but let's say this is the He. He says the top of it is the channel from God. Now, let's see what he means by the top. Well, the opening at the bottom is the channel to us below. So he means to say like this. Where's that He? Here we go. The He itself has an opening at the top. This little line right here, and it has a completely open on the bottom. So the idea here is this is a vessel where light, so to speak, comes in through the channel at the top, and then percolates through, and then comes out at the bottom. That's the way I understand it. So let's see, this is part of a contemplation. So he said, well, while the opening is at the bottom, the channel is to us below. So that's coming to us. The He is thus seen both as a 5-fingered hand. He is the gematria of 5. It has a numerical value of 5. and as a channel for the forces of creation, but it's also the beginning of the channel of the forces of creation. One then contemplates the Vav, then you move to the letter Vav. Here one sees God power reaching out to us, wanting to give, because now it's pouring. It's the idea of pouring. First, it was contained inside of the letter He, and now it is pouring out. Here one sees God's power reaching out to us, wanting to give. The most important letter is the final letter. So now he goes and he says, okay, that's fine. So now we have the Yud, we have the K, the first K, and now we're going to the final K. He said the final K is the most important. Why? This is our hand. This is Malchus, into which we receive what God is ready to give us. The point of the matter is if you have clean hands, you can be there to accept this bounty. But we're all a little bit schmutzig. We're all a little bit dirty. So therefore we have to purify ourselves and work on that. This represents our ability to receive from God. The connection between the Vav and the He is extremely important. This is the connection between the giver and the receiver. Now this is what they call the concept of the Yichud, the uniting of Kudsha Barichu, which is the letter Vav, the Shchinte, and the Shchina, which is the last letter He, also known as Malchus. This is the concept of Zun, of putting oneness together of two opposite forces, the forces of female and the force of male. In the Talmud and the Kabbalah, the letters of the Hebrew alphabet are seen as having tremendous spiritual power. Speaking of Bezalel, the architect of the tabernacle in the desert, that the Israelites built right after the Exodus, the Talmud says Bezalel knew how to combine the letters through which heaven and earth were created. He knew this concept. He's teaching of Rebbe Mimran is telling us something here. That the Kabbalists, I'm not talking about myself, I'm reading this, I'm trying to learn it myself, combine letters, and with this generate power. And the combinations of letters through which heaven and earth were created, since the world was created with 10 sayings, and the sayings consist of letters. The letters are seen as the primary ingredients of creation. I don't know if that's the right words, but that's the way he meant to say it. Excuse me. I don't know if that would have said it that way, but then again, that's me. What does he mean? The letters are seen as the primary ingredients. They're like the spices that you put into creation. I see them as more like templates that on one side are in between creation and the light of the Ein Sof Baruch. And as it shines, that light shines through the letters. They become thicker, more physical, and they flow downwards. Thus, when one contemplates the Tetragrammaton, the letters serve as the means through which a person connects himself to God and the creative process. So not to belittle the words of my teacher, Rabbi Mimran, he means to say that the letters are seen as the primary ingredients of creation, and without them, without the action that they bring, you really don't have a creation. This is Baruch Fleischman. I'm here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. I hope you're enjoying these shiurim.